Everyone says the same thing. Assets are scarce. Housing is limited. Bitcoin is rare. Opportunities are disappearing. And somehow everything just feels more expensive, more competitive, and more out of reach. But here's the uncomfortable question that nobody really wants to ask. What if assets are actually becoming more valuable? What if you're just being trained to believe they are? This is the scarcity myth. And once you see it, you'll never look at money, assets, or value the same way again. Scarcity sounds logical, right? There's only so much land. There's only so much gold. There are only 21 million Bitcoin. So prices naturally go up. That's the story we're all told. But let's just pause for a second. Has there ever been more money in the world? More credit? More leverage? More financial products, digital assets, or investment vehicles? The answer is no, never. We are living in the most financially abundant era in all of human history. So why does everything feel so incredibly rare? It's because scarcity today isn't physical, it's psychological. Money used to represent something tangible. It represented your effort, your time, your energy. Now it just represents policy. When money can be created instantly, endlessly, out of thin air, it stops being a reliable measure of value. And when money loses its meaning, people naturally run toward anything that feels solid. Assets become emotional anchors in a sea of uncertainty. A house is no longer just a place to live. It's protection from inflation, it's a status symbol, it's proof that you're getting ahead. Stocks aren't just ownership in a company anymore. They're survival tools. Bitcoin isn't just a technology. It's a whole escape narrative. The more uncertain the financial system becomes, the more desperately people cling to assets. Not because the assets themselves are rare, but because genuine confidence in the system is rare. And here is the uncomfortable truth that underpins all of this. Prices don't rise because things are scarce. Prices rise because enough people believe they are scarce. Scarcity is just a story. And it's a story that gets repeated over and over again by headlines, by influencers, by banks, by governments, and all over social media. You'll be priced out forever. This is your last chance. Get in now or you'll regret it. This constant fear accelerates demand. That demand then inflates prices. And the higher prices seem to validate the initial fear. It's a self-perpetuating loop. And once you're caught inside it, logic just goes out the window. People stop asking, is this asset actually worth the price? And they start asking, what if I miss out? Modern markets don't run on fundamentals anymore. They run on FOMO, the fear of missing out, the fear of being left behind, the fear of being the only one who didn't act in time. Social media has turned owning assets into a form of social proof. Owning things isn't a private matter anymore, it's performative. You don't just buy assets to grow your wealth. You buy them to signal that you're intelligent, to signal your success, to signal your security in an insecure world. And when ownership becomes a part of your identity, prices completely disconnect from reality. Because people will always overpay to protect their self-image. And think about this, the system needs you to believe in scarcity. It benefits the people at the top. If you believe that assets are running out, you'll accept higher prices without questioning them. You'll take on more debt. You'll work longer and harder. You'll take fewer risks outside of the established system. Scarcity keeps you obedient. Abundance, on the other hand, creates independence. That's why the narrative is never, don't worry, opportunities rotate, or cycles always repeat, or prices eventually normalize. No, the narrative is always about urgency. Because urgency is a brilliant tool for shutting down critical thinking. Here's the key distinction you need to understand. Early participants in a market don't buy scarcity. They buy asymmetry. They get in before the story goes mainstream, before the headlines start screaming, before the crowd arrives. Late participants, the majority of people, they don't really buy assets. They buy certainty. They are willing to pay a much higher price not for the actual value of the asset, but for the emotional comfort of doing what everyone else is doing. And the market is more than happy to charge them a premium for that feeling. This is why most people feel like, no matter what I do, I'm always late. It's because they've been trained to only act after a belief becomes mainstream. Real scarcity does exist, but it's quiet. It doesn't trend on social media. It doesn't scream for your attention. It doesn't need a marketing campaign. Fake scarcity, however, is loud. It's emotional, it's repetitive. Think about it, if something needs constant reminders that it's scarce, it probably isn't. the truly rarest assets in the world aren't physical at all. They're internal, things like patience, long-term thinking, emotional discipline, independent judgment. Those things are genuinely scarce. And the people who possess them don't chase markets. They let the markets come to them. The biggest shift in your financial life will happen the moment you stop asking, "What's going up?" and you start asking, "Why do I feel so rushed?" Because that feeling of urgency is rarely a signal to act. It's a symptom. It is a symptom of a system that is designed from the ground up to keep you in a constant state of reaction. Once you detach from that fear, scarcity loses all its power over you. You stop buying narratives. You start buying logic. So here's the final truth. Assets don't feel valuable because they're rare. They feel valuable because trust is fragile, because money has become abstract, and because the future feels deeply uncertain. Scarcity is the story we tell ourselves when we don't trust the system. And the moment you truly realize that, you stop chasing value, you start creating it. If this made you feel a little uncomfortable, that's a good sign. Because finding clarity is never a comfortable process, especially in a world that's built on illusion. If you want more breakdowns like this about money, psychology, power, and perception, subscribe to the channel. Because once you see how the game is played, you don't play it the same way ever again. Thanks for watching.